But first, the US president has actually pulled the right rein for a change. That's a big story in itself. By confirming a diplomatic boycott of the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing. So the athletes have full US support, but there'll be no American officials in attendance to legitimise the event. This is how White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki explained the move.
We will not be contributing to the fanfare of the Games. U.S. diplomatic or official representation would treat these Games as business as usual in the face of the PRC's egregious human rights abuses and atrocities in Xinjiang, and we simply can't do that. We have a fundamental commitment to promoting human rights, and we feel strongly in our position, and we will continue to take actions to advance human rights in China and beyond.
So what now for Australia? It would seem inconceivable for us not to join the US diplomatic boycott, and we should do it soon. Tasmanian Liberal Senator Eric Abetz has almost been the sole voice on this issue. Today he was confident Australia would follow what would become a wider scale international boycott.
And I trust that all other freedom-loving countries of the world will also join this boycott to say very strongly to the communist dictatorship in China, your human rights abuses are just so egregious that the world, the rest of the world, is going to take a stand and indicate that what you're doing is completely unacceptable.
There is, of course, strength in numbers here. As more and more countries join the protest, Australia can't be singled out by China this time if we do remove our diplomatic support of the Games. Confirmation today that Australia is close to a decision.
Will Australia join the US diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics?
Those matters are under active consideration by government.
But China has already fired back. As you'd expect, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian accused US politicians of grandstanding. He said such a move is an outright political provocation. Without being invited, American politicians keep hyping the so-called diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics, which is purely wishful thinking and grandstanding. If the US side is bent on going its own way, China will take firm countermeasures. Same old outrage from a mob that just won't treat its minorities like fellow human beings, and that's the fact. But how can the world celebrate the Olympic spirit if at the very same time in February, somewhere nearby, Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai is imprisoned? It is a point Queensland Senator Matt Canavan raised earlier today.
I think it's just the logical outcome here. I'd go one step further though here, Peter. If the situation around Peng Shuai, the tennis player in China that seemingly has been silenced, if that's not resolved, you've got to raise the question whether we should be playing any sports against China.
He is right. He is right. How can you do that when on the other side of the city there's no sign of Peng Shuai? She's not at home. China won't allow her to speak. Meanwhile, China is causing no end of trouble too for the supply of essential goods in Australian supermarkets leading up to Christmas. Now, Beijing has placed an export ban on a vital fluid which is needed for truck engines to start. This involves half of all our long-haul diesel trucks, and Australia no longer produces the chemical. We did in Brisbane for a long while. This is what happens when you rely so heavily on one nation, especially one which likes to ignore international trading rules. And couple that with the way we've ignored our own manufacturing industries, it comes back to bite you in so many ways. And it's biting now. And you can bet the fact a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics won't help any appeal to the Chinese for this chemical. It is time we rebuilt our manufacturing sector more than ever to ensure we no longer get hung out to dry by the blackmailers of Beijing.